Hello and welcome to day 7 of our 12 days of Christmas patterns. In today's tutorial, we are going to be making our crochet Christmas tree ornament. This is a really fun pattern. I love how it looks and I can't wait to share it with you, so let's get into it. So for today's project, I'm going to be using Baby Snuggle yarn again. I don't have a sleeve for this, but this is in the color grass and this is in the color teddy bear, I think. We're also going to be needing our 5.5mm crochet hook, a stitch marker, a darning needle, some scissors, some safety eyes, and these are 8mm safety eyes. We'll also need some black medium weight yarn for the face detail. I have this silver sparkly yarn for the stars on the Christmas tree. We'll also need some fiber fill and some fabric pins. So once we've gathered all of our supplies, we can get into it. All right, so to begin, we're going to be starting off with our color A yarn, or the green yarn for me. And to begin, we're going to start off with a magic ring. And this is how I do my magic rings. I do have a tutorial. I can link here for you guys if you want to know how I make mine. But once we have our magic ring here, I'm just going to place 4 single crochets within the ring. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're just going to pull that closed, just like that. Now we're going to grab our stitch marker. So for me, I like to use a scrap strand of yarn, but you can use whatever works for you. Basically what I do is I just put it right in front of my very last stitch of the previous row, and that will mark the beginnings of my rows. Now for this pattern, we are going to be working in the back loop only of our stitches. So if you look at your stitch here, you're going to have the front loop here and the back loop here. That's one stitch and it's like a V pattern. So going forward, we're going to be working only into the back loop. So instead of grabbing both of these top strands, we're only going to grab the back one. So for round 2, we're going to do the combination single crochet and an increase stitch. So single crochet again in the back loop only, and an increase stitch. So that's 2 single crochets in one, and we're going to repeat that again. Single crochet in the back loop only, and increase in the back loop. And that is round 2. Now moving on to round 3, we're going to do an increase round. So we're going to do 1 increase stitch in each stitch around. So that's 2 single crochets in each, again in the back loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you should have 12 stitches at the end of this round. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now for the next row, row 4, we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around in the back loop. So that's 12 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now you should be able to start to see the pattern it creates when you do the back loop only. And I really like the look of that. All right, moving on to round 5, we're going to do the combination single crochet and increase again. So single crochet, increase, back loop only again. Single crochet, increase. And we'll do this a combination, or we'll do this 6 times, sorry, for a stitch count of 18 at the end of round 5. Alright, now moving on to round 6, we're going to do 18 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in each back loop. 2, 3, 4. So I will finish round 6 off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 7. Alright, so moving on to round 7, we're going to do the combination single crochet 2 and an increase, all in the back loop. So 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, and we're going to repeat this 6 times for a stitch count of 24 at the end of this round. Increase. So I will complete this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 8. Alright, for round 8 we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so 24 single crochets in the back loop. 2, 3, 4. Alright, now moving on to round 9, we're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and an increase stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and increase. 1, 2, 3, and increase. And we'll do this 6 times for a total stitch count of 30 at the end of round 9. So I will finish this off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 10. Alright, so that is row 9 complete. Now moving on for rounds 10, 11, 12, and 13. 10, 11, 12, and 13. That's 4 rounds. We're going to do single crochet 30. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 4 rounds in the back loop only. 3. So I will complete these 4 rounds off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 14. Alright, so this is what we're looking like up to rounds 13 completed. We're moving on to round 14 now, and for round 14 it's going to be a decrease round. So when we're decreasing, we're just going to work in the front loop like we normally would for a decrease stitch. So we're going to do 15 decreases. So we're going to insert our hook into the front loop of the first stitch and into the front loop of the second, yarn over, pull through both those, and then yarn over and pull through. That's one decrease. Now we're just going to repeat that 15 times, and you should have 15 stitches at the end of round 14. These are the invisible decreases, so they're not as obvious in your crochet. You won't have big holes that your stuffing will stick out of when you do your decreases this way. There we go, and that is round 14 completed. Now before we move forward, we are going to stuff our tree here, and we're also going to place the eyes. Now I personally like to stuff a little bit first before placing the eyes, just so I can get an idea of what it's looking like. And I just want to make sure that the tip of my tree is full. And I just lightly stuff. And I like to just bring it out to the edges a little bit to make sure that everything is stuffed evenly. There we go, and that's kind of what we're looking like right now. I'm going to leave it as that for now, and then we'll place our eyes. Okay, so for the eyes, we're going to place our eyes on rounds 9 and 10 of the tree. So I'm just going to count back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 9 and 10 are right here. And we want to place them right in between. So I'm just going to roughly place one eye right there. And then we want about 6 stitches in between our eyes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about here. That's kind of about where we want them to be. Now, if you have them there and you're happy with them, you can apply the backing of your eyes. And if you need to take the stuffing out for this, you can. I just like to have the stuffing in when I'm placing the eyes so that I know exactly what it's going to look like once it's all stuffed, because the stuffing changes the shape of your project a lot. I'm just putting the backings on. There we go, and our eyes are attached. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit more stuffing, and then we're going to go on to our final round here. So for our final round, we're going to do another decrease round. So we're going to decrease 7 times. So again, we're just going to grab the front 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, all the way around. And then you'll be left with 1 stitch left, and we'll just place 1 single crochet there, and that is complete. So I'm just going to cut my yarn. I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and what I like to do is I just like to go into the very next stitch yarn over, pull through, and pull through to tie off that round. Now if there's any more stuffing that you feel like you need to put in, now is the time to do it before we close off the end of this. Like that. Now to close off this round, what I like to do is I like to just take a smaller crochet hook. So this is a 3.25 millimeter. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert it under the front loop of the stitch, grab that yarn tail and pull it through. And I'm going to do that with each stitch around. And this is going to close up that final hole. And if you pull it, you'll notice that the hole's getting smaller. So just do this all the way around. Pull. And you may have like a tiny little hole left. So what I like to do is I just like to go through with my hook, grab that yarn, make a loop, and then pull the yarn tail through that loop to make a little knot. And that will close off your end. Now I'm just going to cut this again, and I'm just going to weave that in. And there is the Christmas tree portion completed. All right, so once our tree is done, we're gonna do our smile now. So for the smile, we're gonna be using I'm gonna be using black medium weight yarn. You can use any color you want, does not have to be black. And I'm gonna be using my darning needle here. I'm just gonna get that all ready. So for the smile, first I like to just use some fabric pins to kind of mark out where I want it to be. So we want the smile to be on row 11. So what I like to do, so these are on rows 9 and 10, so this is round 11 right here. I'm just gonna place some pins here, just kind of roughly to get an idea of where my smile is gonna be. You want it to be a couple stitches from each eye and centered through the top of the tree, kind of like that. I think that's pretty good for where I want mine to be. So once I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my needle kind of on the side of the head, and I'm going to go through where I put my pin, and I'm just going to pull that through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the other side pin here, and I'm going to push it through the bottom pin. So like that, and I'm going to pull that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my needle underneath that loop, and I'm going to pull that down, and then I'm going to insert it right back into that same bottom stitch, and I just like to push it back out where I started, and that's going to make your little smile for you. Now on the side here, I just like to tie a very light knot. You don't want to do tight because it will make your smile disappear, especially if you're using the chunkier yarn like I am. And then I just take my smaller hook and I'm just going to weave those yarn ends in. Now as you can see, the smile kind of got pulled here, so I'm just going to stick my needle underneath and just give it a little bit of a tug to pull that out again. And there's our smile. Now once we have our smile done, we're going to start making the stars. So I'm going to be using this silver yarn. It's really sparkly. And again, I'm going to grab my darning needle and I'm going to put that right on there. Now for the stars, there's no right way to do this. This is really personal preference. So basically what I do is I just go in through the side, kind of like we did for the smile. And I'm just going to find a spot where I really want a star. Just going to pull that through. Now basically all we're going to do is you're just going to go up to create an upwards line and over, and then I'm going to push it up between the two. And then I'm going to go over here. And then I'm going to go over here. And then I'm going to push my needle over to a new spot. Kind of like that. And like I said, it does not have to be perfect. Mine is not perfect. Just do them how you want them to be done, how you want it to look. So I'm just going to continue adding some stars. Again, there's no amount either, so you just add however many you think looks good. Alright, so once you're done that, I'm just going to tie a light knot here with my yarn. And then I'm just going to weave that in. Like that. Now the other thing you can do is you can add another color. So if you have, let's say, gold, you can add in some gold, which I may do. I haven't decided yet. But until then, we will move on to the trunk. Alright, so starting on the trunk, we're going to take our brown yarn and we're going to start with a magic ring. And then inside the magic ring, we're going to make 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to pull that tight. And then we're going to place our stitch marker. Now for round 2, only round 2 for this part, we're going to be working into the back loop only. We're going to place 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now for rows 3 and 4, so 2 rounds, we're going to do 8 single crochets in each stitch around, working under both the front and the back loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'll do one more round of the same thing, 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that is our trunk. So I'm just going to remove my stitch marker. I'm going to cut about 12 inches of yarn to sew it on. And again, I'm just going to insert into this next stitch, yarn over, pull through to create a knot there. And there's our trunk. Now I just like to stuff the trunk with the yarn tail, and then we're just going to add a little bit of stuffing as well. Just like that. Then we will grab our tree, and this is going to go directly on the bottom. So before I do all that, I'm just going to grab my darning needle and put my yarn end on so it's all ready for me. And then I'm just going to place this directly in the center of the tree. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to start sewing it on. You can use fabric pins as well to hold this in place. I tend to not, which maybe isn't best practice, but I find that they get in the way. There we go. And then I'm just going to make a little knot here. So I just insert my needle right close to the base, and I'm just going to go through the loop there to make a knot. And then I'm just going to push my needle right to the very back to weave in that end. I'll cut my yarn here. This yarn sheds really bad, so it's always super fluffy. So there's the stem attached. All right, so the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to put our ribbon on so we can hang this from our tree. So I just attach this right to my darning needle, and I'm just going to go right through the top of the tree here with it. Take it off my darning needle. Now, personally, I like to just tie a little bow with this. If you're going to be using this and selling them, I would maybe use a little bit of hot glue. So first thing I do is I just tie a little knot. To how big I want it to be. And this is where I would place maybe a bit of hot glue if you're going to be selling these, just so that they stay in one place for your customers. Then I just tie a little bow. That. And there is our finished Christmas tree ornament. I hope you guys really enjoyed this pattern. Stay tuned for tomorrow for our 8th day of Christmas crochet ornaments. We hope you guys have a lovely day today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye!